Hey everyone, what is up? It is me, Ewan from What Culture, joined today by
Adam, how's it going?
because we're here to talk to you about the recently announced and confirmed SAG-AFTRA strikes. Yes, the Screen Actors Guild Union is joining the WGA, who has been on strike since May, leading to a basic total shutdown of every Hollywood production. This is absolutely huge. So in this video, we're going to go into why the strikes are happening, what actors cannot do while they're on strikes, going into the statements that have been coming out from SAG-AFTRA, some of the really good reports as well, statements from actors who have basically explained why the strikes are going on, what we can expect as a potential outcome at this point in time, and also maybe how you can support them as well. So yeah, let's get diving into all of this. So the strikes are basically coming about because these guys are seeking fair and equitable treatment from the Hollywood studios. I did a video the other month about Ed Solomon and Men in Black.
Yep.
Went into a little bit about residual checks and net residuals and how, Hollywood accounting basically denies lots of people their slice of the pie. Now, these strikes aren't purely about that. There's also all sorts of stuff that's come about from this new streaming age, because we've had lots of deals that have been drawn up over the last, half century of basically Hollywood. But since the streamers have come involved, things have kind of been less defined, and that has led to key bits of exploitation. So yeah, I'm going to talk here. We're going to got a little quote from the National Executive Director of SAG-AFTRA, Duncan Crabtree Ireland. They say the studios and streamers have implemented massive unilateral changes in our industry's business model, while at the same time insisting on keeping our contracts frozen in amber. Their refusal to meaningfully engage with our key proposals and the fundamental disrespect shown to our members is what has brought us to this point. The studios and streamers have underestimated our members' resolve, as they are about to fully discover. And this was backed up by Fran Drescher, who is the union president at SAG-AFTRA. She said that in the negotiations with the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers, which is the kind of faction that is representing the big Hollywood studios and production companies, she said yesterday that, quote, the AMPTP's responses to the union's most important proposals have been insulting and disrespectful of our massive contributions to this industry. The companies have refused to meaningfully engage on some topics, and others completely stonewalled us. Until they do negotiate in good faith, we cannot begin to reach a deal. And yeah, Adam, some of the reasons why, from what we've heard about the negotiations and what the Motion Picture and Television Producers Association has been coming out with, it's no surprise that we're at this point.
No, it's just sad. You know what it is? It's really sad that we're at this point now where they've been pushed to do this. It was like 12 days of negotiation as well, and then still there's nothing being able to be reached. And the fact that she's had to come out and say that and explain that is just really sad. And the WGA and obviously SAG-AFTRA are asking for similar things, where it's like, an increased base pay, royalties from movies and from TV shows and movies on streaming services, and also insurances about AI. And that's really interesting as well, which obviously we'll talk about more. But it's just so sad that we get the likes of big people like Bob Iger that are then turning around saying that what they're asking for is unrealistic. And that itself, to quote him word for word, there's a level of expectation that they have that's just not realistic. It's very disturbing to me, all the challenges that we're facing, recovery from COVID, which is ongoing. This is the worst time in the world to add to that disruption. And
forgetting that he is the one causing the disruption in the first place.
Somebody in that position who is unable to put themselves in the position of an actor who's, basically trying to get by and hit that mark, which we'll talk about what Matt Damon obviously references later on. For someone like that, who is sitting basically on a throne of money, to say stuff like that is really disrespectful in itself.
Yeah, because the thing people tend to forget here is that the WGA and the Screen Actors Guild, they represent hundreds of thousands of people working in the Hollywood industry. It's not just the A-list actors, although of course they will get lots of the headlines. Obviously, we saw Cillian Murphy and Emily Blunt, walk away from the Oppenheimer red carpet yesterday, and Christopher Nolan did that great speech as well, talking about why these strikes are ongoing and why they are so imperative. It's also people who don't act maybe full-time. They supplement their income, doing other jobs. And for many, it's a difference between, getting health care or not health insurance, stuff like that. And we saw earlier in the week, there was that article that was published, I think, by Deadline, that was fed through from the AMPTP. I think I got that acronym completely wrong, but the motion picture people basically saying that their plan is to wait this thing out and wait for people to lose their jobs, lose their houses, It's just a sickening level of just cruelty that is being enacted upon the creatives that essentially fuel this entire industry. And you talked a little bit about AI content earlier on. So I've got a thing here from the Washington Post report on the strikes yesterday. Quote, the actors' demands largely mirror those of their counterparts in the WGA, whose 11,000 members have been on strike for months. They want restrictions on artificial intelligence technology that can already simulate a performer's likeness or a writer's style, and the transformative new business model for the era of streaming, which the unions say is turning Hollywood's creative process into a gig economy. Now, there was one really depressing example that came out yesterday from the SAG-AFTRA press conference, and that was that allegedly, the AMPTP proposed that background actors could get scanned on the day of them, filming a shoot. They are paid for that day, and then the studio would be able to use those images, their likeness, in perpetuity. This is just a shockingly... It's truly concerning to me how quickly AI has infested the business brains of people across vast swaths of industry. It's happening in this industry, it's happening in our industry, it's happening in music, it's going on everywhere. So these strikes, even though they are specific to Hollywood, they represent key importance to everyone as we're dealing with this kind of the growing threat and challenges posed by AI, which, essentially, going into what we saw Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 this week, talking about how AI is being weaponized. It's being weaponized in the creative space as well, which that movie kind of allegorically, comments on. So, yeah, and there was also an example that's an actor who worked on Cruella as a background extra said that this is already happening under Disney, that they were taken away and without really being told what was happening, they were then scanned and they were told that it was basically to bloat the background, make the crowds look bigger. But this is kind of scary that this has been going on. And it's clear that new deals are needed. And it's shocking to me that, it just kind of, it's the cherry on the icing of the cake of a truly terrible 2023 for this industry. You think of how David Zaslav's been ruining Warner Brothers. Think of all the stuff with Disney and what they've been getting away with, the stuff being taken off, streaming services, issues with stuff being, it's just truly mind-boggling how bad this all is. And the only solution here is for these, business folks to actually sit down and recognize the humanity of the people that are working for them. And it's completely mind-boggling that we're at this point.
It's very much that. It's scary. That's what it is, honestly. I mean, we had the big news as well about Marvel Secret Invasion, the opening credits all being done by AI, and then them trying to justify that by saying, the whole Scree content and everything, it's the way that they look at the world, and it's about recreating that and that. No, stop. And when you saw all of the names as well, reduced down to they said, well, people still worked on that, and there was about 6 or 8 names compared to how many.
Give them an inch and they'll take a mile. And this is the issue with stuff like the Black Mirror episode, and you mentioned before we came on that South Park stuff. Even if you're using AI to comment on AI, you're basically telling these people in charge that it can be done. And it just comes off as spiteful jealousy from people who are envious of the creativity of people that are actually creating these things.
And it makes it more about money, and that's what it is at the end of the game. It's about profit. It's not about people's talents anymore. It's not about people being paid and used for their talents. It's about, let's work on an algorithm of what's popular and what's going to make us the most money. And that's the most worrying thing, is that people have been stripped away from that now, and that's exactly why we have this, and rightfully so, to strike, because people should be paid for their talent, for both writing and performing.
So we should go into a little bit of what everything the actors are forbidden from doing while strike action is occurring. So they cannot participate in principal on-camera work, stuff like acting, singing, dancing, stunt coordination, all that stuff. They even included a bit in there about flying planes, because clearly Tom Cruise just loves to fly planes. They got to at him. Principal off-camera works, that's stuff like ADR looping, TV trailers, theatrical trailers, voice acting, singing, narration, and then also promotion or publicity, which we already saw that yesterday with the Oppenheimer premiere. You're not allowed to promote these movies, which is going to have stark consequences on the current release schedule that we have for a lot of movies, both that are in production and have actually completed production, because studios are going to be less keen to release a movie if they can't have that star power. They can't harness the the social media news cycle, everything else to promote that film. So we haven't had any concrete delays at the minute, but you can guarantee that basically everything currently in production is going to be knocked back. Everything that hasn't, and you could see it as well. If these things aren't resolved in the next few months, which if Hollywood studios are as dumb as they are and they are this stubborn, man, I don't know. I would like to think that common sense prevails and they realize that, they can't just keep hoarding their gold like a creepy Tolkien-esque dragon. But this is where we're at currently.
Yeah, it's a really sad state of affairs. I think, as you said, Ewan, there's going to be a blackout for a long period of time, and there's going to be recovery from this, and hopefully they get the results and everything that we need, which is to focus on the people and their talents of what make movies and TV shows great. That's what we're talking about here. That is the gold here. And when they turn their attention back to that, if they do, and hopefully they do, and realize that this industry cannot prevail with the likes of AI, then we will get back to quality, entertainment that everybody is, paid for respectively, and that we can enjoy.
Yeah, so the last time the WGA and also the last time the Screen Actors Guild went on strike, on a general strike against the studios, was in 1980, and that occurred for over 3 months. Bear in mind that the Writers Guild strike is currently entering, or is about to enter its 3rd month once we get to the beginning of August. This is kind of like, I think the last time both unions were on strike together was in 1960. So this is truly kind of, it's a major earthquake movement for this industry. It's felt for a while like we're approaching a ruction in how, movies, entertainment and stuff is being made. And all sorts of stuff is going to unfurl from this. I'm interested in particular to see how streaming comes out of this in regards to getting more fair and equitable treatment for people working on streaming shows. I am curious to see just how much the numbers, because they are guarded, the numbers for how many people are watching things, why they're being guarded. And there's a lot of speculation at the minute that these are being completely inflated, and that, if that happens, maybe the streaming house of cards comes crashing down. Before we wrap this up, I do want to say that there are different ways you can support the strikers, and there are donation links doing the rounds on Twitter where you can basically get people who are picketing snacks and stuff. But there's also the opportunity here to maybe cancel your subscription services. I know that there are a few actors who have basically been saying they can't say, due to legal reasons, that people should do that because they're there to promote their shows and stuff. But if that was something you wanted to do, that sends a clear message to these production companies that you are standing in solidarity with the people currently going on strike. So yeah, that covers mostly everything about the strikes that are ongoing right now. Obviously, loads of projects are going to be delayed. We're going to have a video coming out next week talking about that. It's going to be a big list on some of the big hitters that you will probably expect to see get pushed back as a result. But yeah, please let us know your thoughts on the situation down in the comments below. Be sure to like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel if you're new. And also head back over to whatculture.com because we've got more fun content like this, but in the written word, which, it's a valuable medium too. Either way, I've been Ewan.
And I've been Adam.
And we will hopefully see you next time.
Take care, guys.
Bye.